Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Biedron, and I am super excited to be here today at Denver Startup Week and with this amazing panel of women we have here today to talk about the evolution of customer success. I am the sales and marketing manager at Engage. I've been in sales and marketing for probably the last 15 years of my career. I have an MBA in leadership and change management, which we're going to talk a lot about change today. And I'm going to pass it over to our panel to give some introductions.
Hi, my name is Jackie Davis. I'm a petroleum engineer by background. I was an engineer, a project manager, and held various leadership roles for Anadarko Petroleum for about 17 years. Following that, I took a year to be a full-time stay-at-home mom during the peak of the COVID pandemic times, as I have a 7-year-old named Max and a 3-year-old named Rory. I enjoyed the extra time with my family, and I knew that when I was ready to get back into the workforce, it was going to need to be for something where I could use the skill sets that I developed in the industry that I grew up in, but something that was going to be new and challenge me. And so I took an opportunity with Engage on their customer success team to develop my skill set in the SaaS world, and because I had been a customer of Engage. When I worked for Anadarko, I worked with 2 teams, assisting them in implementing and the use of the Engage product. So I knew firsthand the transparency and the validation that the software and the platform provided customers. And so it was a win-win for me and my personal situation to come work for such a great company. A little tidbit about myself that we're all going to share on the panel. A first concert experience that we all had. I attended the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in Bozeman, Montana. I'm from Butte, Montana, small town Butte, Montana, where I grew up on oldies and listening to country music, but high schooler in the 90s, loved to rebel out with some 90s punk and alternative. Pass it over to Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. Lisa Miller. I'm president with Spearhead Advisors. I also have the privilege to be a member of the board of directors for Engage. But I also spent 18 years plus with Level 3, CenturyLink, Lumen, and they are in the process of implementing the customer success model. And so that will be applicable as well in our conversation. For me, I grew up in small town Iowa, so my first concert was Fleetwood Mac at the Iowa State Fair. And that was when they were a little known band, not to be aging myself, but I kind of have. They were awesome. So over to you.
Hi, I'm Karin Ratchinsky. I've spent the last 15 years of my career in B2B technology marketing, primarily in industry and vertical marketing, but I also spent a year building the team within customer success marketing at Lumen. I'm an advisor to Engage. I've been with the company since day one, helping them on the marketing and marketing strategy side of things, and currently I'm at Salesforce. Oh, my first concert. Shania Twain in Vancouver. I'm a Canadian, so that was a great first concert.
Good morning, I'm Jaime Schunk. I am a geological engineer by background. I have worked my entire career in oil and gas. I've had amazing opportunities to take on various roles, and each one of those roles provided me with a different perspective of the oil and gas industry, and I've taken that throughout my career and have valued that. I am currently working with BPX Energy here in Denver as an engineer, and I've been with the company for 3 years. I am from a small town in Montana, Red Lodge, and my first concert, going back to 90s country, Black Hawk.
That's awesome. Well, in honor of Karen's first concert being Shania Twain, I'm going to kick this off by saying, let's go, girls. So a brief background on Engage and who we are. So at Engage, our goal is to simplify the B2B transaction process by automating field and financial workflows. So when I say field workflows, what does that really mean? So primarily, we work in the oil and gas industry. So when I say field, we're talking about oil wells out in the field, the maintenance, the operation. There is a ton that goes on to keep those functional. A lot of fluid hauling, trucking, chemicals needed for maintenance to understand what's going on in the wells at every point in time. So We've really taken things one step further, so we're very happy that that our customers are not using paper tickets anymore. But we've taken it a step further with all the data that we're collecting constantly to provide some automation and some predictive scheduling to our customers so that we can let them know when their trucks need to be hauling, when they need to provide maintenance on the different aspects out in the field. So we're super proud to do that. We're really trying to eliminate touch points for customers and help things operate as efficiently as possible. Recently we launched a final component to this, which is an E-Invoicing component. So we can take things really from end to end, from dispatching work all the way through to invoicing clients, payments, and processing, and things like that. One more aspect to our product we have is an ESG aspect. Can I get a quick show of hands? Who knows what ESG means? On the phone, I hope you're at home raising your hands if you know. Environmental, social, and governance. So we're super proud that we're able to work with our customers to be able to help. Like I said, we predictively dispatch work. We create efficiencies, so we're optimizing truckloads that our customers are hauling, so we're helping to reduce trucks on the road, lowering some emissions. We've got some inventory tracking to help our customers see if we have any waste, where is it going, are we properly managing that? So we're very happy to have an impact on that as well. Okay, so about Engage, we are very proudly located here in Denver. We're up in the Low-High neighborhood. We've got about 40 different employees. And the way our process works, we have a fantastic direct sales team who's out selling our products to customers. As soon as we sign a customer, they then move to our customer success team, which Jackie manages. We've got an implementation process to make sure everything is set up the way our customers' accounts want to be, and then they continue with our customer success team throughout their longevity with Engage. Okay, enough of the background stuff. Time for the fun questions. So we'll kick it off. Jackie, I'm going to start with this one for you. So the world is becoming more cloud-based, as we know. So sometimes there can be a little less stickiness for software-based solutions. So why is it important for us to focus on customer success in the software world?
Yeah, I would say most companies, and for sure all startups, need to be very focused on the product, the development of the product, and the sales initially. And then once you get customers where you're implemented and that are utilizing your software, you need to pivot so you can understand how your customers are fully utilizing your software, and that will help you grow ultimately. The way you pivot is by forming a customer success team. Your customer success team is responsible for forming your key relationships with your customers. They're responsible for demonstrating the value of your product in real time, and they're responsible for being proactive about ensuring that your customer can continue to grow and see value in that product long term. Customer success is the component that takes you out of the machine or manufacturing mode and really hits on your customers' goals. When you can develop key performance indicators and you can hit on those with your customers, when you conduct lookbacks and learn from them with your customers, and again, really realize that value with them, that's when you become sticky. That's when you help your customers realize that they need your product. And I think that you'll see as we continue through different conversations with this, we've highlighted that we're able to do that with BP and Jamie's team, among several other customers now as well.
That's great. So you use the word pivot, which I love. I'm going to ask this question to everyone. When did Engage kind of realize they needed to pivot and really focus on that aspect of customer success?
I would say pivot's true for sure, but I think since day one, focusing on the customer and the value that we wanted to bring to the customer was really part of the DNA of the company. We talked about personas and what are these. How are these people measured? What do they care about? How do they get promoted? How do we make their lives easier? And that was really how we defined the product roadmap and the feature functionalities that are most relevant to our customers. So I think since inception, that's been a really big focus, but there was a tipping point or pivot. I think when you reach a certain threshold of customers where you don't want to treat every single customer like a special snowflake, there's some unique variables that you have to be cognizant of. When onboarding and managing customers, of course, every customer has unique things to consider, but there are also abilities to scale, right? Like there's certain best practices that you don't want to uncover at every single onboarding stage or every single customer management stage. So to be able to identify and build on those best practices, I think was part of that pivot point of we've got a certain number of customers, let's acknowledge those unique variables, but also hone in on the efficiencies and the scale and the best practices that we can get when we truly focus on that, and that was really what made sense, to have a specific department to focus on that.
Yeah, and as a board member looking at the organization, you were seeing that sales was really driving the revenue. They were the main focus. And when you want a company to grow really fast, you need to look at alternate ways for revenue. And you want to be able to have your sales team focused on new customer acquisition. And then you want your customer success team to be able to focus on providing that upsell, that cross-sell. So now, instead of one organization in a company being responsible for revenue, you actually get two organizations in a company being responsible for revenue. And the beauty of that is it gives single focus. So your sales team, new logos, and new customers, and then customer success is driving that. The other beauty is, with customer success, when you're implementing a customer, that's when you're in the weeds with them. You're starting to learn about them, and that's also many times when new opportunities come up, which makes it a natural sales cycle to be able to sell them that next product or solution.
Yeah, and I think that knowing Engage and knowing several of the leaders at Engage during the startup infancy, I realized that Engage has been strategic all along. Having Karin as an advisor and then getting Lisa on the board was really the building blocks to really help us understand how you shift to focus on customer success with the knowledge and the background that they had. And Engage was also strategic about finding the right skill set and making the right hires along the way. The two leaders on my customer experience team know our product inside and out. They're extremely technically savvy with the product and the software, and they're great with people. And so if you can really identify those strong skill sets up front and then see how they can morph over time, that will just help your company evolve and grow into that customer success aspect. And then the other component where I think Engage realized that we really needed to focus more on customer success was when we realized that while our product and what it is intended for is the same, the way our customers use it is different. And so your customer success team can dive in and help understand the uniqueness to which your customers use it, and then also relate that back to your sales and product organization, your engineering team, again, to help them see while it's unique and different, there are ways to help it grow fully across your company.
That's great. Now let's kind of get the customer perspective on this. So Jaime, unfortunately, you haven't always been an Engage customer, and now you are. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience was working with other software companies and maybe how they did or did not support you?
Yes, absolutely. So I have seen working with software companies be wildly successful, but I've also seen the opposite side where the end solution didn't quite meet the customer's needs or the expectations. If a software company comes in and takes your requirements and then comes back to you several months later with a solution that was developed in a black box, most likely it's not going to meet your needs or your expectations. What you need from a good software company is for them to come in and listen to you as the customer, truly understand what problem are you trying to solve. And from that, through a lot of communication, and one of the key points of that communication that I would hit on very hardly is feedback. Feedback, feedback, feedback. Get it early, get it often. Because once the software company truly understands the problems of the operating company or the customer and what their vision of success looks like, you're going to come together with a solution that makes both parties happy and successful.
That's great. So, at this point, Engage has been listening to customers. We realized we needed to make a shift in focus on this. Lisa, how did we actually approach this change, and what actions did we take?
Well, as a board, we knew that people were going to be extremely important. And when we looked at Jackie, for example, she was well respected, she was in the industry, and she was a customer. So she knew what the product could do. She knew the problems that it could solve, and she wasn't afraid of tackling challenges. And so getting the right people on board was critical, and Jackie was one of those right people.
That's great. So Jackie, can you tell us how you approached this change? You faced this challenge when you came on board. How did you approach that?
Yeah, it was, as I mentioned before, we had a lot of the right skill sets in place, and the teams were already, prepared and ready to start making these changes. And so, as Lisa mentioned, it was, helping bring my industry perspective and just helping the team better understand that although we're using our tools right now currently in the same industry, the customer's use of it, again, is different, and their goals with it may be different. And so you have to get in and really understand your customers, where they're operating, why they're operating the way they are, and again, how our tools can best serve them. I think the other piece to it is when you incorporate change in an organization within a team, you can make changes there, but you have to make sure that the other teams within the organization understand how they influence your team and vice versa. So it's ensuring that product, sales, engineering, again, is on board with what we're doing from the customer success side, and again, that you're communicating effectively to ensure that everybody's on the same page and hitting on the same goals ultimately for the company.
And so the opposite side of that, there's also change involved in with Jaime implementing a new software. So can you talk about how you approach that, working with a new software company from your end of things as the customer?
Absolutely. So we started off looking at change management and bringing in a new technical digital solution, starting with why. Why do we need to change our current processes? What are going to be the benefits to all of our stakeholders, internal and external to us? Understanding that helped us gain alignment with all of our stakeholders early on in the process. And so when we went and rolled out the Engage solution into one part of our business, the adoption was met very quickly and positively, and it has led to some early results for us. I will say that the Engage solution did provide us with an end-to-end digital solution that has helped us remove a lot of manual processes, brought significant transparency into the overall workflow, and has also provided all of our data within that workflow, democratized it into one place for us. Companies have a lot of data, it's in a lot of different systems, but connecting and tying it can be one of the biggest challenges. This took that challenge away from us. So now our team is actually focused on data analytics and driving improvements into the existing system. We are able to and have set key performance indicators and tolerances within certain steps of our workflow that we are managing on a day-to-day basis. And if we start to see a deviation from those tolerances, we can dive into the data and quickly understand what is happening, how are we going to fix it, and get that implemented right away. And that has led to a lot of success and is truly starting to transform how we work over at BPX.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. So implementing new ways of working, we're all touching on that now. But when you've all been and you all are leaders in organizations, and when you're doing this in organizations and implementing change and shifting focuses on ways of working and what to focus on, what's one thing that you like to really focus on and work on with your teams?
There's a lot of things to choose from, but I will say I always look at kind of the whole horizon versus a focal point. Like, what are all the variables long term? How will this change impact us 2-3 years from now? And if you look at that kind of at a comprehensive horizon standpoint, you're going to anticipate other changes to make sure that your change management and change strategy encompasses some of those kind of broader macro variables.
And I would say clear vision. You need to be able to have a vision for your organization, and you need to be able to say, this is the outcome we expect to see from change. And then you have to communicate to every department what role you play in the success of that change, so that they know when they've hit it, they know when they've finished, they know the journey every step of the way. So clear vision is really key.
And I would say communication, especially on the customer success side. I think initial valuable communication up front helps you and the customer hit your goals and hit them quickly. And then establishing what that communication looks like over a long period of time will help you grow with the customer and will help you grow internally across different functions in your organization.
I have to go back to, you have to start with why. If people don't understand why you need to change, change will be met with resistance, and then you're stuck trying to fight that battle. Another key component, I'm going to steal and take two, is
Please do.
you need to have the right person who is going to lead that project or that effort. And they have to be able to take a team through what are called the 4 stages. And I believe it was developed by a psychologist named Tuckman. It's the forming, storming, norming, and performing. And the quicker you can get your team through all of those stages and to that performing component, you are going to be driving results back to your business and your organization a lot faster.
So someone mentioned resistance here. What are some things that you can do at an organization if you ever are met with resistance, or if you do have people kind of questioning that maybe don't understand the why behind why you're doing something?
I will take that one. One key thing that I have seen be very successful in the past is you have enablers in your organization and you have early adopters in your organization. Find them, get them to believe in it, and get them to basically network and message what change you're trying to do, because hearing the benefits of it from a peer is going to go a lot farther than hearing a sales pitch or a mandate down from leadership.
Yeah, and I think from the product or the service provider side, it's if you can find that key person in your customer that's going to allow you to become part of the team with them, then you will just excel and find those successes and that path to get through that change quicker and with less resistance on the other side. We all know that a lot of technology and software can be challenging. It can be a newness for people that is resisted. But again, if you find the right people with your customer side that will allow you to become part of the team with them and really show them that you're in it with them, that you not only are invested in the value component, but you're invested in the success and the people that they're working with, it'll go a long way.
The only thing I'll add is if you can show the data behind the change, like here's the why, here's how we're going to measure the why, and here's the data and our progress towards getting to that end goal, I think that can help get people kind of on board with the program.
That's great. And so are there cultural considerations that you take in at your organizations when you're trying to implement new ways of working and new processes?
Yes, culture is extremely important. And when you adopt something big like customer success that can be super impactful to your company, it has to start at the top. Every single executive needs to be on board, and they need to continue to drive that through an organization. Because if they don't believe it, every employee will see through that and go, why do I need to be on board? What, this is the flavor of the month, whatever. And so it's really important. Culture starts at the top, and driving big initiatives and big change requires all that leadership to be bought in and believe in it.
And I would say, every company is different. There's companies that have been around for decades. There's been companies that, I work for a company that was founded in 1930, and I work for a company that was founded in 2007. And, both embarked on customer success efforts, and just one factor that was totally night and day different between those two companies is legacy infrastructure, technical debt. So in addition to the culture piece, there's definitely the organizational piece too. How much infrastructure is there in place that you need to plan to evolve to get to where you need to be for customer success, as an example.
That's great. So Jaime, so we've talked about how we've implemented customer success. Can you help talk about how we kind of walk the walk and how we've been there to support you as a customer?
Absolutely. From the beginning, we came into this as a partnership. It wasn't they're a vendor working for us and we're a company. It was a true partnership. And right from the beginning, we set expectations. We helped set what the vision of success looked like for us. And we also came up with some working agreements that everybody agreed to right up front. And what that helped enable us was we were able to start to build the relationship and build the trust with Engage, which has led us to where we are, and who knows where we're going to be going with it. But one of the key things is Engage truly listened to us in the very beginning. They took the time to understand our current processes, our current pain points, and the gaps that we had, and really understood the vision of where we wanted to go. And from there, they were able to take and walk us through some of their digital solutions and how it would remove the manual process. It would get rid of those pain points for us and close those gaps that we were seeing, and filling them with essentially manpower and what we call red work or manual work. And with the agreement that we've came up with in the very beginning, we help set those expectations. And so there, you have those boundaries built or established, and you have that trust starting to build. And from there, it has been a true partnership. It hasn't been us dictating one thing and Engage just doing and giving it back to us. And that has been, I think, something that has been different of how we approached working with software companies, is we're more collaborating now.
That's great. Thank you so much. So now we're going to get to questions in just a minute. So if you have your questions online, please start typing them in. So kind of want to close out from everyone. What really excites you about the future, both at Engage and in software? What really gets you excited?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm excited where Engage has gotten to. I'm excited about the people that we have at Engage, and I'm really excited about our customers, especially the ones like Jamie at BPX that allow us to form this partnership and really enable us to become, again, a part of their team with them. I think if you don't have an understanding of what Engage is now, and you would like to, please get a hold of us. You're welcome at our office anytime. I think if you speak to us in person or you speak to us over the phone, you'll feel that excitement. You'll feel the energy that we've created at the company, and we've got a ton of momentum going. And when you have that and that excitement's there, it gives you that energy and that drive to where you want to come to work every day, and you really want to continue to help make your team and your customers successful. So I'm excited about all of that.
Well, I'm excited because the SaaS application that Engage has can be applicable to many verticals. So that allows you to take the offer that is there today and replicate it across many different segments. So the opportunity for growth is huge, and that is exciting.
I'll say two things. The people at Engage are phenomenal, just an amazing group of intelligent people, super passionate people, and that is, as we know, mission critical to any company's success, of course. And the second is a little bit along the lines of what Lisa just said. We just launched the E-Invoicing capability. That was, of course, derived from a customer request. So we're listening to customers. That is helping shape the product roadmap and how and where we invest. And that really is super exciting from a digital transformation piece, right? Creating, operationalizing, and digitizing workflows is one piece from the operations side, but being able to streamline that through finance, like that's super exciting. And that, again, is something that's not just relevant to oil and gas and energy, but it's super relevant across other industries. So to bring that that technology and that capability through automation, I think is really exciting.
For us at BPX Energy, one of the key things I'm really excited about with the future of working with Engage is we've successfully rolled out a end-to-end digital workflow in one of our areas. We have several other areas that we're going to be rolling it out in, and once it's fully rolled out and established, I'm an engineer, I love data, I want to slice it, dice it, analyze it, figure out how to drive improvements back into our organization, and spend more time adding value versus trying to hunt down and find the data.
That's great. Well, thank you. Let's see if we have any questions either in the room or online. Oh, you got a microphone.
So with kind of the current climate and the inability to have like face-to-face interaction with a lot of your clients, what kind of challenges do you face and how do you overcome those when you're working with clients remotely?
I would say that our team on the customer success side ensures that we're in communication with our sales team, really understanding again what was driving the customer towards the product, what they were really wanting out of it, and then it's coming up with again your key stakeholders at your customer's company that can really establish that communication and what that form of communication is going to look like. And although a lot of it tends to be virtually, fortunate for us in the oil and gas industry, a lot of the operations and what they do is outside. And so BPX, for example, afforded us the opportunity to travel with them and to be on location when we trained the service providers that would be using our platform and trained the operators on their side who would be dispatching the work. And so you just find the right times to figure out when you can be in person and establish those in-person relationships. And a lot of times, if you're willing to do it, your customer will be more than willing to join you and be present with you and helping understand again the goals with it and how you set the tone for what those relationships will be kind of across the board and who's gonna use your app. So although we're not in person for all communication and even necessarily at the start, we tend to try and be in person to establish that relationship while we train and then go live so people don't feel lost in the use of the software and the platform.
I have a question for Ms. Jaime. I know for a big operator or a big company, it's obviously difficult or there's a hesitation to bring in something like a new software where we're going to change workflows within your company because you have a lot of people in operations that may not understand how that software fits. You already have an operation that's working, to a certain extent. So I guess from the customer side, are they open to changing their workflow a bit to ensure that the software actually fits in? Because I know as a software company, it's difficult to build the perfect system. So there has to be flexibility both on the software end as well as the operations end. And I'm just curious as to how those communications go. Do you have to convince your folk that they may have to change their workflow slightly to ensure that there's an efficient fit into the organization?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the key things for us specifically is we really want to get more to and work through a digital transformation. There's still a lot of things in oil and gas operations that is paper or spreadsheets. And so what we have to do is not only figure out what is the right software type solution, it will change workflows and it will impact your folks, whether they're the ones out in the field doing, boots on the ground type work or your engineers in the office. What you need to do and what we have been successful with doing is meeting with all of our stakeholders, internal and external, early on in the process, explaining what the solution is and why we're doing it. What are the benefits for them? And most of the time what we're seeing is a reduction in man hours spent doing manual work, manual tasks. So that means they could go focus on other high value projects or even professional development if they want.
We have a question online. Question for Jaime at BPX. Why did BPX decide to partner with Engage?
We decided to partner with Engage. There was a long process where we reviewed and interviewed and talked to several different companies. I personally was not involved in some of those discussions. So when the solution was brought forward and I was put as the lead to get it implemented within BPX, I saw the value that it was going to bring to our organization. It was going to reduce a lot of the manual efforts that we were having. It was something that we've tried to solve internally ourselves and weren't successful with it. So we knew there had to be a company out there that has successfully solved this problem. So why reinvent the wheel? And that is what helped us partnership with Engage.
Hi, at the beginning you mentioned some of the ESG benefits of the application. My question is, all your clients must have differing resources. How do you approach this when a company is strapped for resources or possibly has lots of resources? How do you approach the ESG side of that?
Yeah, so all companies approach ESG and how they're going to manage it differently. And so at Engage, we've taken the time to put together a task force to really figure out how Engage can benefit customers. And so we've outlined that where we can best benefit customers is through Scope 3 emissions tracking. And then what we've done is we've worked with our product team to help set up the right calculations and tracking mechanism to really add that transparency for our customers around what those emissions look like for them. Although we can't help tackle every component of ESG with our customers, we focus in on the ones that we're really good at helping them manage and track. And it's not only helping them realize that they can get the data with tools like us and with Engage, but again, it's showing them the data and how we validate that with them. And the ways that Engage is focusing on that currently is, again, through emissions and then waste management.
Hello, this kind of relates to Jamie's comment about reinventing the wheel, and this probably applies both to Jackie and Jamie in terms of questioning, but the first piece is onboarding a new vendor in terms of Engage. The next would be, what are some of the common roadblocks that you overcame, both at BPX and then maybe generally to Jackie with Engage? Because obviously here we don't want to be reinventing the wheel with every customer, so giving that confidence to the audience, you know, in person and online, that Engage is here to help. We've been there, we've experienced that, and we can even achieve faster implementation and customer success with other operators.
Do you want me to take a stab at that first? Okay. Yeah, I would, I'd say, you know, beyond the relationship building component, and again, finding the right champion in Jamie, and then the service providers that we worked with her, what we've done now, as Jamie stated, she loves to slice and dice data. And so we've built quick site dashboards and other tools for Jamie and other team members at BPX to look at the data and actually visualize what our software and system does for them. And we're building the key performance indicators from that data and really understanding, you know, what we need to tweak on our side and what they need to tweak on the operation side to even get better at those key performance indicators. And, you know, we're conducting lessons learned. What didn't go as expected? What could we have done differently from both sides? And that helps us grow, and that helps us evaluate how we can do things differently. And so I would say that, you know, it's establishing the relationship, and then it's showing the data again to back it up. And now that we've built these type of custom dashboards for BPX, we're seeing that that's relatable across a lot of our different customers. And we just get better at showing the data again and what it can do for our customers. And when you can do that with a back end, a software solution that, you know, tends to feel like it's behind the scenes, it just adds transparency and that additional validation that the customers are looking for, and it helps you, again, get more embedded within their team with them.
I would say from the BPX side, the digital solution that we went with for helping us manage our fluids hauling from dispatch all the way through to invoicing was something that we have tried to manage and solve internally, and it wasn't successful. Not only was it not successful, but if it was, you are then strapped with managing and maintaining all of the code, all of the integrations between the different systems, which can become cumbersome. And then if you upgrade any of your systems, you have an impact on that. We've gone with other external companies, software companies, who built us something and then the relationship didn't last, and so we were stuck with something that we had to then figure out how the code was written, how can we enhance it, how can we fix it, how could we make it better. And we were just spending a lot of times, it felt like, trying to fix something that was just too broken for us. And so instead of continuing to go down that path, taking a step back, looking at all of our lessons learned, we knew there had to be something and someone out there that has solved the solution and had it from tip to tail. And not only did Engage have it, but they had it with several other oil and gas companies, and we reached out. I have peers in different companies that I was able to reach out directly to and get feedback from them on how well it was working and what it changed for them. And so going back to what I mentioned earlier, your early adopters and your peers can be your largest networking and positive component for you as a company. And that was a good point for us, as we knew we were getting into this partnership with Engage and it would solve our problems.
Okay, any other questions online? Okay.
We have a question online. Question for Lisa. Why do you think there has been such a shift and emphasis on customer success recently with companies such as Engage?
Well, I think one reason that you see so much shift to customer success, I have to go back and give credit to Salesforce, because they were really the founders of the customer success model that many software companies are adopting today. But what is happening is when you put all of the revenue generation of a company in one group, and it's just sales, and sales are responsible for selling, they're responsible for cross-sell, they're responsible for trying to also help that customer. And then you also, most companies have a customer support organization. What happens is there's not clarity between those groups. Where does my job end? Where does your job pick up? So when Salesforce started with this new customer success model, they really created very clean and easy swim lanes that said sales will do this and customer success on the support side will do this. And the beauty of it is it allows two revenue streams. And that allows companies to grow faster. It allows customers to know where to go when they need support, when they need that next product, while you've got a sales team out driving new logo acquisition. And so all companies need to grow, and all companies want to grow faster. And this customer success model has really made that clean, simple, clarity of direction. And boy, if we look at Salesforce, wouldn't we all love to grow the way they have? So the proof is in the pudding there. So that's why I see everybody is embracing this.
Okay, one more question, all right.
You guys have mentioned the data and how important it is to show the data to your customer. Do you see that as being really impactful, being able to really get the data and kind of showcase the benefits and the technology like Engage or other technologies have?
Yes, absolutely. Today is data driven. It's been data driven for a long time, and whether it's change management or investment or onboarding or performance, I mean, it all comes down to the data. And when you can digitize a formerly analog function, not only does it give you visibility and insight in this instant real time, which is super powerful, you can start making improvements and being more innovative. So the answer is an absolute yes. It has so much to do with the data and the intelligence that can be derived from that.
And I think another thing that you see everywhere is the efficiencies that you get from mining your data. And the other aspect of that is that data, if you can monetize it, then that is even better. And many times how companies will monetize that data is just even in more efficiency. You heard Jaime talking about how, we've improved our process. We now have people can go and do other things. Well, those other things are making the company more efficient. So it's going to ultimately drive more revenue. And so that's what's so important about the data.
We have another question from online. There are so many metrics and measurements for success, but have any of you got a really smart way to quickly identify the measures that matter most? More of the lead indicators rather than lagging indicators such as retention.
I will give a shout out to Nick Maida, who wrote Customer Success, a book that I found extremely valuable. And one of the things that he outlined in this very informative book was a variety of different KPIs, because you can't measure any one company, any one person in some instances the same way. And there is a really great kind of roadmap and vision for different ways and different metrics that can be leveraged based on different stages of a company, based on different functions within a company. And I think that, that's a great resource for anyone out there looking for different ways to take the right KPIs for their company.
Yeah, and I think with software, you don't want to just have your customer or client turn it on. So if you can identify, again, the key performance indicators that they're wanting to hit and hit them quickly with them, again, not just turning a software on and leaving it blindly for them to understand what's going on behind the scenes. If you can get out in front of that and, so when you've got it implemented and you turn it on with them, you're ramping up and you're hitting those goals and those efforts with them in week 1, in month 1, and then again figuring out the next milestones and key metrics that they want to hit along the way. And of course it will vary by project, but I think the speed to which you implement is important, but the speed to which you really hit those leading indicators is what's going to retain those customers and want them to grow with you.
Okay, well, I think that concludes everything. I don't see any more questions, so I just wanted to thank, again, the panel, especially Jaime, for being here today, and thank you, everyone, for participating. Thanks so much.